So today I'm going to be changing the whole front suspension setup. I'm going to be doing two separate videos, one with the coilovers front and back and the adjustable drop links, and the other video I'm going to be doing the double tie rod strut braces on the front, and I'm going to be changing from the yellow to the black rear lower engine mount. I'm going to link this video below on this video and vice versa, so if you want to see each one, I'm just doing it to make it two shorter videos rather than one really long video. Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. In this video we're just going to be doing the front and back coilovers, and we're going to be fitting the adjustable drop links. You need to remove this plastic cover where the wipers go, and then remove the right hand wiper to be able to lift the other side up. But I'm just going to be showing you this side. And you've got the top nut there that you can just loosen, which is an 18mm, that's the top of the strut, and then you've got a little bung on the top of there. And then obviously jack the car up, take the wheel off. And then you have two 18mm bolts here that I've just loosened just to make it easier. You have a 15mm here, which is the drop link. So just release the nut on the top one, and you can worry about the bottom one later because we need to jack that up with the anti-roll bar. Then you've got your brake line here that just pops out, and there's a little metal clip here. And then just for your sensor, that just pops out of there as well. So once we've got to this stage, we're just going to put a couple of bricks underneath so that when we drop the top of the strut, the disc isn't going to go all the way down and end up popping out the drive shaft. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to carry on from there. Alright, so now we're just going to take the drop link out. So we're just going to put the jack underneath the disc, and it's a little bit of pressure, it's not going to damage it. Just enough to be able to take the pressure off of here. Then we just move it out of the way. And then just put 18 on the spanner, and then another spanner or a socket, or if you've got a gun, then just use the gun. That nut comes out. Same on the second bolt. Both nuts are off. And that just hangs like that. I'm just going to undo this, the strut underneath. And that's it, the strut comes out. Right, so now we're going to put the new strut in. I already assembled this last night, so I'm going to insert a clip here of putting it all together. It's very simple. Okay, so normally when you get the coilovers, they'll come pretty much put together. Obviously the springs will come separately. So all I'm going to be doing is just winding these two little plates down. So this is the bottom seat, so I'm just going to put this all the way down so that there's no tension on the spring when I'm putting the top mount on. So on the other end, you just got the nuts that are already on there. So we're just going to take these off, and the top mount's going to go over that first. And the washer. So the smaller end of the spring goes all the way down onto the lower seat. So then obviously when you're adjusting the height once it's on the car, you'd wind this first one up to whatever position you want with the lock-in tool, and then that's just going to wind up as well, just so that it's locked up, so you've got like a double tension on there so it doesn't move. So we're just going to wind that all the way down, put the spring over it like that. Then the top mount goes on like that. And then on this end, washer, nut over the top. And we're going to be adjusting this once it's on the car. This is just so that it's kind of built up. And I'm just going to relieve the pressure so that the spring isn't flapping around like that. just going to wind this up so it's tight. So that's nice and sturdy. So I'm going to do the same on the other side, and I'm going to get out and go get it on the car tomorrow. So then all we're going to do is push it up through the top, obviously being in line with these brackets to go back in. So just going to get it lined up at the bottom roughly, and then up through the top. The top up, putting the little bung back on top, and then the nut on top of that. Just do it up by hand so it holds it for now. And then chuck the disc up. Till the holes line up where the bolt goes through. Second bolt. So both the bolts are through. Now I'll just put the 18 spanner on one side, and then whatever you've got to tighten it up, if it's a spanner or a ratchet or a gun. Just get the brake bar and just make sure it's really nipped up. So now we're just going to tighten this top nut up. The cable's back in, just pops in like that. Take your bung from the brake line. Pops in like that, and then just take the metal clip off of your old strut and then put that on just to make sure it doesn't pop out. So that just hooks in like that, goes round, and then just get a little screwdriver, pry it up, and that's in like that. So the coilovers are both installed now, so we're just going to take the original drop link off. So you've got, again, 15mm at the back there, you can just see it. So we're just going to undo that. Sometimes it doesn't come off straight away, so you're going to have to get a spanner in there, or maybe if you just crack this off, and then you can get like a chisel or something like that just to force in down in between the actual drop link and the metal clip, and it will just put force on it like that, and then it will end up putting pressure on the nut, so it'll actually be undoing rather than just both sides spinning. So we're going to do that now. So the way I've done it in the end is I put a pair of mold grips on there and just got it really tight so it holds the back of the drop links, and then whatever you decide to use, whether it's a ratchet or whatever, or a gun, then I'm just using that to counteract it while I'm taking it off. And also when you're doing the other side, obviously the anti-roll bar is going to be moving around, so when you're trying to undo it, it might be quite difficult. So if you just put the top of the drop link in the top where it should be going, just to hold it still, so that when you're undoing it, it's going to be a lot easier. Okay, so the drop link's now on. I've adjusted it by twisting this to make it the right length, and then these nuts, once they're done up on the bottom of this, they're going to be locked, so I'm just going to tighten those up. Remember, when you're doing the top bit, the actual thread is going to be facing towards you, and at the bottom it's going to be facing away from you, going into the anti-roll bar. You might need to just pull the anti-roll bar up a little bit, but if you've got no drop links on both sides, the anti-drop bar will move up and down to a certain degree, so you can just lift it up, pop that through, and then that's done. And then just raise it up and then pop it through the back of the bracket there, and then just tighten the nuts up on both sides, and that's the drop links done. So I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then I'm going to start on the rear. Okay, so everything is on and it's all tightened up now. So the next step, I've just got the gap between here. This is the bottom seat for the spring. This is going to adjust the height. So I've just measured the gap between there on both sides so that they're exactly the same. I'm going to play around with it over the next few days, but this is just the general setup. So once you've got this to the correct height, this is just like a locking collar. So you just spin it all the way up. And then all it does is basically the two threads together will end up locking it in place. So I'm just going to get the actual locking tool that comes with the coilovers, tighten this bottom one right up so that it doesn't move, and then these two will kind of keep each other still, and then that will be locked in place, and then we're going to get onto the backs. So when you're looking at the rear, we've jacked up both sides just to be able to get into the wheel arch. If you look on the bottom of the strut here, this bolt is basically what's holding the rear strut in. So you're going to undo both these bolts on both sides, like that one is already. And then once you've done that, the rear axle is going to swing down, and then you'll be able to replace the springs. And then as you're looking in the arch at the back, that's the top mount for the rear strut. So that's the strut going down there, and that's the bolt that needs to come off. So when the axle swings down, you can replace the strut and the springs. So we can do that on both sides. So that's the old strut out, so I'm going to put the new one in now on the left side. So once you've taken the old spring off, use that rubber cap at the bottom, which sits over the little disc that's in the bottom there. Slide the spring onto it, and then at the top you can see the adjusters there, so you just wind them down about in the middle. I'm going to be adjusting it at a later date, probably tomorrow, just to start getting it to sit right. But you can see where it's just able to spin round, and then you just pop it in at the top, pop it in at the bottom on both sides, and then you can start on the struts. Okay, so that's what you can see from this angle. It's probably a better angle where the adjusters go, so then you can just turn this and that will adjust the height. This little socket here has got to come off, and then there's another one there. It just moves this plastic cover because obviously the petrol tank's on this side, so you can't actually get to the other bolt here. So I'm just going to undo these, pull this cover back, and then I can get to that other bolt. So I just undone these two little clips. They just go over those studs there, and then you can just pull it back. Get your socket on there. So the next stage, just pull this dust cover down like that. Get a nice set of mole grips on there, really tight, and then 16mm at the top. And you just want to hold it all together. Just while you're undoing the top nut. Okay, so it is really difficult to loosen this nut off. If you've got an impact driver, you're probably not going to have any kind of trouble with it, but we've just locked the mole grips on there and just gave it a tap a couple of times with a hammer and just kept on going. It does eventually come, but it's just really stiff. Obviously just gets rust build up and all sorts on it, but the nut is now off the top of the shock, and then that's your top mount for the rear shock. So you need to put this on the new one and then put it back into the car. Then top mount goes on the new shock, comes with a new nut. And then just tighten it up, and then we can put it back on the car. So the old ones, the nut was a 16, the new ones, the nut's for 17. Okay, so as you're looking at it, the bracket goes back on like that, bolts go up into the wheel arch, and then if you follow the line down, you've got, this is the adjuster for the spring compression, So obviously the bolt's going to go in there into the axle. That's your spring compression, needs to be pointing towards the back of the car so that you can adjust it from the rear easily, and then your bracket is fitting the same way before you fully tighten down the nut at the top. So now I'm just going to put the bottom end of the shock in the first, just so we can get it lined up at the top. Just pull that plastic cover out of the way. Get one bolt in, just a couple of turns, just so it's kind of holding it in place, and then again just do the bolt on the other side. And then just put the plastic bits back into the arch liner. So then you just want to get the bottom lined up and then just tap it in so that the bolt will go through, and then obviously we can jack the back up and then that will just pop back into place. So the final bolt at the bottom of the shock, all we're going to do is we're going to put the wheel back on, right, obviously tighten it up, and then when we start to drop the jack down, it's going to push the hub up because the wheel's going to be coming up, and then just get it into the right position so you can slide the bolt back through the bottom of the shock.
Go. Wait. Yeah, cool.
So we've dropped it down now so that it's just in line. Just tap the bolt through so that it's going all the way through, and then we can just tighten this up now, and then that's the shock's done. So the coilovers are on, it's just in time, it's just started pissing the rain. It's obviously sitting a lot lower than it was. I need to adjust it over the next couple of days, take it out for a drive a little bit, adjust it again. The rears need to be adjusted as well, I'm just going to do it as I go. But all in all, I'm happy with it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.